Here's the hard truth that stops a lot of people from ever doing their first storage deal. And that is they think, I don't know anybody with money. They assume that people doing deals have to have a long Rolodex with a lot of wealthy friends, private investors, or some like secret society mastermind or network that you're just automatically born into. And here's what I can tell you that I've learned after doing multiple storage deals. Capital doesn't chase spreadsheets. Capital chases the right deals. It chases trust. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to build what I call the Capital Connections Network, which is a relationship framework that can not only fund your first storage deal, but potentially fund the next 5, 10, 15 storage deals you do. Now let's break it down. By now, you have already defined your buy box blueprint, mapped out your market, started having meaningful conversations with storage owners. We are building momentum. You're analyzing deals. You now understand the funding options map, and you're starting to see how everything is coming together based on everything we've talked about so far here in cash flow maps. But now it's time to talk about something that will completely, I believe, change your life and your business. And that is how to build relationships that lead to money. Because look, here's the truth. Capital does not chase spreadsheets. It chases trust. And this is the second piece of our Fearless Funding module. And it's all about capital connections and something I call the Capital Connections Network. But understand that this is not going to develop and happen overnight. You need to be very mindful, thoughtful, and intentional about building out your Capital Connections network. So believe me when they say Rome was not built in a day, so let's think long-term here. But if you just start being very intentional, and I'm gonna share with you exactly what you should do, your mindset, how you should approach it, then you're gonna have all the capital you could possibly ever need for your storage deals. So look, you've probably heard me say this before, but every storage deal I've done, every single one has come through a relationship. It hasn't been through luck. It hasn't been through paid ads, not through some secret marketing hack that doesn't exist. It's through people. It's from investing into people and investing into relationships. So when I talk about relationship capital, that's what I really mean. It's the equity that you build in people. It's the trust, the connections, the goodwill, and eventually, especially when you do it without expecting something in return, that can bridge over to the financial capital that you need. Particularly when you develop a reputation where you always show up and do what you say you're going to do. And that is so important. I want to continue to harp on that, because if you miss that, and if you're doing this with some agenda in mind, just because you want capital, then people are going to see through it. And while you might generate some capital and you might get some money for your deals, it's not going to be sustainable over the long run. All right. And I want you to think long-term here. Don't think transactionally, think relationally. And look, relationship capital to me is really one of the few capitals that really compounds forever. All right. Markets fluctuate. Interest rates are going to rise and fall. But the relationships that you build today can fund your next 10 to 20 deals. It can fund any deal you ever want to be a part of, okay? And this is what starts to change your life. And that's why relationship capital, I've always said, is the most valuable capital that you can raise, all right? And not that long ago, I did a talk to some of the most successful storage investors in the country. And the title of the talk was how to raise the most valuable capital to grow your life and storage business, and it's relationship capital. Now, every investor that I know tracks ROI. Right? And that's the return on your investment. But I want you to start tracking a different KPI, one that I think is equally as important, if not more, and that's ROR, and that's return on relationship. ROR, think of that as the value that you create by giving to people, by contributing, by connecting, and essentially just showing up and serving others, okay? It's not about what you take from them. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's about what you give them. So I want you to just pause for a moment and ask yourself, who did I follow up with this week? How did I show up? Who did I connect with? Who did I encourage without asking for something or expecting something in return? Whose candle did I light? And remember what I just said about the candle, because I have something I want to share with you a little bit later on in this video. But when you make those daily deposits into people's lives and into their businesses, you're going to be amazed how fast the withdrawal starts showing up. And that could be in the form of deals, that could be in the form of introductions, that can be in the form of just connections or capital. I mean, so many doors and opportunities open up for you. Why? Because it's my core belief that when you show up and you give and you're genuine and you're authentic, the laws of reciprocation are always going to tip back in your favor. And years ago, and I don't remember the first time that I saw this, but there was a video that I think I saw on Instagram or Facebook, and it was a professor standing in front of a class, and he had this big glass jar on a table. And you've probably seen this. I would encourage you to YouTube it or find it, because it's probably got, I don't know, probably over 100 million views, if not more. But imagine a big glass jar. And on the table, he had golf balls, he had pebbles, and he had sand. And the golf balls, he explains, are the big things in your life, like your family, your faith, your health, your relationships, right? It's the most important things, the things that you truly, truly value and treasure. It's not the material things. So the golf balls, or maybe in the video you see it as rocks, big rocks, those are the important things in your life. And relationships is one of those things. Then come the pebbles. The pebbles, think of the pebbles as your business, the deals you do, your house, things like that. And then finally is the sand. The sand are all the little distractions, all the other stuff, the small stuff that just fills up your day and fills up your life. Well, imagine, in fact, he illustrated this. He started filling up the jar with the sand first. And what happens? The sand filled up the jar. And then he started putting the pebbles. And by the time he put the pebbles, the jar was completely full. There was no room for the rocks. There was no room for the golf balls, which represent the big things in your life. So now he had another jar, and he started with the rocks or the golf balls first. And he put up all the rocks, and boom, it filled the jar. And then he grabbed a bag of pebbles and he poured the pebbles. And guess what? The pebbles found their way in the nooks and the cranny. And then he poured the sand. The sand continued to find its way in the nooks and the cranny. And what the takeaway, the key lesson was, put the big things in your life first in the jar. Your faith, your family, your health, the relationships. And then everything else is going to fit around it. And so many people are they're filling up the jar with the sand first. And then what's interesting is I've even seen a variation where at the end, where it looks like the jar is completely full, he grabs a cup of coffee or he grabs a beer, and either one can work. And then he pours the liquid, he pours the coffee. Or if you rather have a beer than a coffee, then he pours the beer. And then he goes, and with all that, you always have time for a friend. You always have time to connect over a cup of coffee or beer, whatever floats your boat. Quick heads up, YouTube gives you the education, but inside the Cash Flow Maps membership, you get the implementation. Every single module unlocked, all the spreadsheets, underwriting calculators, templates, scripts, everything neatly organized in one place so that you can actually execute. If you want the full system, instead of having to piece together the videos here on YouTube, click the link in the description, create your free account, and get access right now. Now let's keep going. And that's the relationship of relational capital. It's prioritizing people first. And when you put people over profit, profit tends to follow. All right, now I want to share with you, I want to start to map out your capital connections network. And these are, the way that I think about it, these are the 5 relationships that are going to help you find, fund, and close more storage deals. Number 1 is mentors and coaches. Mentors and coaches have completely changed my life. I won't share the detailed story here, but I got into real estate late 2005. I think I did 10, 11, 12 deals, single family deals my first year. And I thought I had things figured out. And I viewed coaches and mentors as an expense, not an investment. Then 2007 rolled around. I decided to buy my first luxury fix and flip. Long story short, between myself and a partner, we lost $102,000 right around the time that the financial collapse in 2008. And I've always said, I've done close to 1,000 deals in my career. And I've always said that is probably the best deal I've ever done. Losing 102 grand. You might think, why would that be the best deal you've ever done? Well, because ever since that happened, I knew that if I had a mentor, a coach, somebody in my corner that had been further along in the journey of me, I would have been able to read the tea leaves. I would have never gotten involved in that deal. And ever since then, I've had a coach or a mentor in my life. All right. These are the people that when I was in the foxhole, they jumped in with me. Or I was in the foxhole and they were up top surveying the land and communicating to me and sharing with me, hey, here's what's up ahead in your journey. All right. And it's how you operate safer, smarter, faster. To me, having the right coaches and mentors is like the ultimate insurance policy. And so I highly encourage you that if you don't have people like that in different areas of your life, storage is no different, then find that person. And I'm biased, but that's exactly what I do. And I've always believed you need to have one hand up to a coach or mentor and one hand down pulling somebody up. All right. So that's number one. Number two is peers and partners. And look, peers and partners, for those of you who are in our Storage Wins community, those are your peers and partners, your accountability partners. Maybe it's a mastermind that you're a part of or a community that you're a part of. But when you find people who share your values and they understand the value of collaboration, it just becomes inevitable. A lot of doors and opportunities opened up. I mean, I think about my partner in my Florida facility. I used to coach him and we built a strong relationship, and we ended up doing a joint venture on a direct mail campaign, and we got a great deal out of it. We ended up partnering on that deal, and that's the one that I negotiated 90% seller finance with great terms. And that has led to other opportunities to work together. And there's countless examples inside of our Storage Wins community of members wholesaling deals to each other, members lending money to each other or becoming equity partners in deals and collaborations. And that's because that's the kind of culture we have in our community where we make 1 + 1 = 11. And if you don't have that in your life and in your business, you need to find that. It's really, really, really important. And by the way, in the amplifier session training, we're going to have a specific video so that you can learn more about how you can start to level up and surround yourself with the right people. So just as an aside, don't skip ahead, but I just wanted to plant that seed with you. Number three, you have lenders and private investors. Okay, these are individuals, not institutions, who have money that they're looking to put to work, but they're looking to first evaluate or underwrite, per se, the operator. And is it somebody they can trust? My very first storage deal, 43,000 square foot facility in Mississippi, which you've heard me talk about, that 15% that I needed to get into that deal and get it over the finish line, that came from a friend who I had built a relationship with. $350,000, I think it was closer to $365,000 actually, that he put into that deal. Not because I had a long track record in storage, because I didn't. This was my very, very first deal, but because he believed in me. He trusted me. He knew I did what I said I was going to do. I had a plan. I wasn't just winging it. And that trust turned into capital and into a partnership and then turned into healthy, substantial profit, which was pretty amazing. And that's happened countless times. Number four, you got brokers and connectors, or brokers and wholesalers. These are the people that control the deal flow. And when you build authentic, genuine relationships with them, you're gonna start getting calls about properties that never hit the market. It's exactly what happened to me with my third deal in Mississippi. The broker that I had built a relationship with on my first deal knew that I performed. We started to build a bond and a connection, and he called me before anybody else knew about that deal. Ended up buying that deal several months later, sold that deal, and did very well with it. So you got brokers, connectors, wholesalers, think of the ones that hold the purse strings when it comes to the deal flow. And I want you to be, and that's what you're going to learn here in the amplifier session, is additional ways that you can market for off-market storage deals, and then you can hold the purse strings as well. So again, just future seeding there. And number five, community and masterminds. You need to network with a group of like-minded people. Community changes everything. And that Storage Wins is a perfect example of that. It's where your future partners and friends and investors are going to come from. In many cases, lifelong friends. These are the people that are going to challenge you, that are not going to tell you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. They're going to support you when life kicks you, and they're going to call you out at times when you need to be called out, when you're not doing what you said you're going to do. When you call out your non-negotiables, but you're not doing your part in following through, they're going to be walking alongside you, lifting you up. Remember, every single one of these relationships is a door. And the stronger that connection, the wider the door is going to open. So as we continue to move on here, before you ever ask anybody for money, you need to build that trust and credibility. And this is where you've heard me talk about the buyer info sheet, or what, it could be called, we call it a secret weapon, which is essentially a resume, a credibility package. And it's not about bragging. It's just about giving the person clarity and confidence about who you are, showing people that you're real, you're serious, you're prepared, You got things, you've thought about this, you've invested in yourself, you're part of a coaching program, a community, you have a coach and a mentor. It outlines your bio, your story, your buy box blueprint, your criteria, all in 1 or 2 page, just a clean document that communicates, hey, I'm about my business. All right. And when you show up prepared, people naturally start to trust you inherently, even before they know who you are. Because it's been said, that people are going to form an opinion about you within the first 5 to 10 seconds of meeting you. So make sure you're showing up as the best version of yourself, because relationships, it's not about luck. It's about being yourself. It's about being genuine. It's about being intentional about investing in relationships. And you can think about it as a system. So I want to introduce you to the Capital Connections Network Flywheel. All right. And what that means, and this is just a 5-part system, but number 1, initiate. So I want you, even if you're an introvert, even if it's a little bit awkward and uncomfortable, I want you to be the one to reach out and make the first move, right? And that could be picking up a phone, that could be sending a text message or that DM, that can be walking up to somebody and meeting them. Look, I was recently in Los Angeles at an event, and there was a guy that was there. I'm in Miami, mind you, and I'm in LA, but I live in Miami, and I go to this gym called Lifetime, and there's this dude that's a speaker and an author, and I saw that he was there, and I just walked up to him, introduced myself, and now we've started to build a friendship. Every time we see each other at the gym, we talk and connect. And I'm not expecting anything from him. I just wanted to connect with the dude and build a relationship. And when you do that enough, the right doors are going to open up for you. Okay. And it's my belief that God puts the right people in your life that are meant to lift you up, and sometimes that you're meant to lift them up. And he'll close the doors of the people that are not meant to be in your life. Okay. So you really need to attract your tribe, but you got to take the first step and initiate. Number 2, give. One of my favorite books is The Go-Giver. Highly, highly recommend that you read that book if you haven't, but seek to contribute and add value first. Share valuable information, make introductions and connections, send encouragement, all right? Lift people up. If you get a feeling in your gut and you think about somebody, pick up the phone and call them or send them a video text. Hey, just thinking about you, man. What can I do for you? Or if you really want to go above and beyond, look them up on social media. You can probably figure out what they value or what's important to them, and then go do something. I can't tell you how valuable it is and how meaningful it is when somebody just they know that I host a Storage Wins podcast, and so they'll leave me a 5-star rating and review. They'll leave me a really solid review, and then they'll text me, hey man, I just left you a rating and review, love what you're doing, or whatever. It's like, man, thank you. Thank you even just for taking 2 minutes to think about me and do that, because it helps. All right. So think about how you can contribute to others. Number 3, deepen. And deepen is just like follow up. And you want to be the welcome guest, not the annoying pest, right? But you want to be consistent, but you got to be mindful of how you're coming across, because people are busy and they have things that they're responsible for. So you don't want to be the one blowing them up every single day either. So just trust your gut, use some discernment there. All right. Number 4 is document, because what you track and measure grows and expands. So what if you were to track your outreach and just building relationships with people? What if you had a system to keep in track of their birthdays? Imagine this. Which by the way, this I don't have, and it just hit me right now that I should have this, but what if you tracked their kids' names and their kids' birthdays? Because what's most important? I'm not going to say to everybody, but I would like to think everyone, if they have a family, their family is probably at the top of their list, and they love their family and they'll do anything for their family. What would it say about you if you remembered their kids' names and their kids' birthdays? Think about that for a second. How powerful would that be for the dynamic of the relationship? So track details, even goals. Sometimes I'll ask people hey, what's most important to you right now? What's the big domino that if you accomplish that, everything else takes care of itself? And then I'll make a mental note, and I might follow up in 3 months later and say, hey man, I was thinking about you. How's it going with this? Or what can I do to serve you in this department? It's just about intentionality. Number 5, leverage, because when trust is earned, then you can start to explore deals and opportunities, and naturally and organically, the conversation's gonna probably evolve to potential collaborative opportunities. So keep spinning that flywheel. Momentum is going to build. Eventually, you're not going to have to chase opportunities. In fact, I don't want you to chase opportunities, but we want opportunities chasing us. And oftentimes, because I share and talk a lot about storage, I have opportunities coming to me. And it's not because I'm special. It's not because I got everything figured out, because I don't. But you can have the same result. I want to just speak for a few minutes. Like, if you ever feel awkward about networking, if you're an introvert, you're shy, and it's just difficult for you. Like, look, even though I'm an extrovert, like, I get it. There's times where I want to be an introvert. So I totally understand. There's something that I heard that I learned called the NSW Conversation Compass. And I forgot where I learned this or heard this. So I'd love to give credit to whoever came up with this. But think of NESW, and N is for needs. And that's like when you think about people like, hey, and I just touched on that. Like, what kind of projects are you most excited about right now? Like, what's your focus? What's got your time, energy, and attention? So figure out what are their needs. E is for experience. And it's just getting to know them. Like, how long did you get into storage? What got you interested in storage? What did you do prior to storage? Like, just questions, open-ended questions where you get to learn more about their experience, their expertise, all that kind of stuff. S is for synergy. Hey, where do you think we could complement each other? And this is really the formula, the 1 + 1 formula. It's how do we make 1 + 1 = 11, not 1 + 1 = 2. And oftentimes you can uncover that by asking questions, getting to know that person and what their unique genius is, what is their genius zone, and starting to think about how you can complement them. And then the W is, this is not going to surprise you because I love this word, win. The W is win. What would make insert the blank a massive win for you? When you're looking for a deal, when you're looking for a partnership, when you're looking for insert the blank, what would make that a big win for you? And it's kind of like a future pacing, picture perfect type question. And look, don't think of this as a script, because it's not. It's a compass. And it keeps the focus where it belongs, and that's on the other person, not on you. So if you're struggling right now, ask yourself if everything is pointed inward, if it's all about you. Because if it is, that's the problem. It needs to be pointed externally, and it needs to be about them. So think of your network as a pyramid, right? The bottom, the foundation, the bottom layer of that pyramid is, think of it as like new contacts and you reaching out to people. In fact, one of the things I learned from a mentor years ago was reaching out and making 5 new connections a week. And look, do I make 5 new connections a week? No, I can't say I consistently make 5 new connections a week. But for sure, I make at least 1 new connection a week. So pick, what if it's 3 for you, if 5 feels like a lot? What if you were so laser focused and intentional about making 3 to 5 new connections every single week? Think about, do the math. How many so let's say it's 5 times 52 weeks out of the year, right? You're talking over 250 new contacts a year. Think about that if my math is serving me. So it's just, that's super powerful. Like, and remember, when you think about just one relationship away from a completely different life and business, that's incredible. The middle layer of this pyramid is the consistent relationships, the people that you stay in contact more frequently. Hopefully for you, that's storage brokers, lenders, mastermind community members, people inside the Storage Wins community. And then that top layer that's the smallest circle. Okay, those are the legacy relationships, partners, private lenders, lifelong friends and allies. That circle, or I should say that tiny little pyramid at the top of the pyramid, is going to be a lot smaller. And your job is to move the right people up that pyramid through consistency, by building credibility, by just being generous, right? By outgiving people. How can you compete? In fact, when I had the opportunity to be the MC at a big event of 300 plus of the top real estate investors, authors, speakers, podcasters, course creators, community leaders, I had an opportunity to be the MC. They had asked me to do that. I had never done that. And one of the things I talked about was, how do you compete when it comes to generosity? When you meet somebody, how can you outgive that person? Think about how important that would be. And look, you don't need thousands of contacts. You just need a small group of the right people who trust you deeply, and vice versa. So I want to start to kind of wind this down here, and hopefully this Capital Connections Network training and video has been valuable for you, because if you take nothing else from this, but you really just lean on this, everything can change. I mean, this is that one big domino for you. So let's talk about your weekly rhythm, okay? And this is what you can think of as like your top 5 outreach. Like, what if you made this a habit to reach out to 3 to 5 new people every single week? What if once a week You chose one person, or you could do 2 or 3 people if you're so inclined. What if you sent a handwritten note? Let me see if I can find it here. Check this out. I got this little thing right here, just a little card. It came with a small little gift, and a friend of mine who I won't call his name out, but he hand wrote. It wasn't a small little, it was like, it was a decent amount of writing. I was like, man, how cool is this? I can't remember the last time I received a handwritten note. What if you sent this along with a personal video message once a week? What if every single week, the third one is you followed up with 2 existing contacts just to stay in touch? Okay. A mentor of mine has something called this top 40. And these are the top 40 people that he wants to stay close to, people of influence, people that he wants to be connected with long term. And every single day he picks 2 people and he reaches out to them. And so imagine every month and a half to 2 months, he's going through the list and going through the list and going through the list. That is strengthening the relationship because he's being very mindful and thoughtful and intentional about reaching out to them. And he's not doing this and asking for anything, by the way. In fact, he never asked for anything. I love that framework. So we talked about following up with 2 existing contacts. That's a way you can do it. What if you shared a valuable piece of information, or you made a connection or an insight? You listen to a podcast and you think it could help that person, and so you send it to them, or a YouTube video, or even this course. Like, hey, this has helped me tremendously. Like, I bought it for you. Here you go. Right? Something like that. Think about that. Like, those are the types of things that most people won't do. So, and then the last one is just post an update about your journey. Like, share with people. When we think about social media, ask yourself, are you using social media for the good, or is social media using you? Think about that. Powerful question. So look, these are 5 small steps that if you just did these each week, that's over 250 new connections a year. Super, super valuable and powerful. Each one of these could lead to your next deal, next funding opportunity, or even more importantly, it could be a lifelong relationship, lifelong friend. So that is the currency of real networking. It's not about greed, it's about generosity. So ask yourself, how can I outgive? How can I compete when it comes to generosity? Maybe it's connecting a couple of people who need to be connected. Maybe it's giving someone feedback or encouragement, sending a quick video or a thank you note, or just writing to them, right? Because every generous act is a seed. Every generosity, when you think about generosity, it compounds. It just compounds and compounds and compounds. So I've shared this before, but when you talk to people, don't try to hard close them. Try to heart close them. Don't hard close them, heart close them. Because when you lead with that giving spirit, you're not just attracting capital, but you're attracting your tribe, the people that are going to be in your foxhole. I want to end this with a story that I shared on stage one time, and it's called the candle principle. There are going to be times in life and in business where you're going to be going through the winter season, where life kicks you in the gut, you get knocked down, you're going through it, you're in the eye of the storm, whatever analogy you want to use, and it feels like it's never going to end. And imagine if you were holding a candle and you were in the eye of the storm and it just blows out your candle and you're down and out and you're just feeling like crap. If you've done everything I've shared with you, you have an army of people around you that have candles lit bright, that all they do is they go like this, they light your candle and they lift you up. But here's where it gets really, really powerful. What if you were meant right now to be the one holding a lit candle and looking for people whose candle has been blown out? And that can be family, that could be your community, that could be friends, that could be your peers, that could be people in your mastermind or your networking communities, right? What if every day you woke up and regardless of the season of life you were in, you were holding your candle and you're like, hey, my candle's bright. Whose can I light up? Think about that for a second. How could you add light to the world, as cliche as that might sound? And in return, by lighting people's candle, your flame gets brighter and darker and stronger. So hopefully that resonates with you, because I know it connects with me. Like, I feel that in my core, and that's what I want you to do. So look, in wrapping this one up, here's your challenge this week is follow that Flywheel framework that I shared with you, and go back and watch this and listen to this again. All right. Reach out to 5 new people this week. Follow up with a couple people in your existing network. Think about whose candle you can light. How can you be of service? How can you be of value? Don't ask for anything. Show up, give, strengthen your capital connections network, and good things are going to happen in the future. All right. It's not going to happen overnight, and it can't be transactional. It has to be relational, because capital follows connection. When you invest in relationships, you're not just building a network, you're building a foundation for freedom, for wealth, and impact that's going to have ripple effects for years and even decades. All right, so it starts with one simple question: whose candle can I light today? So here's the big takeaway from this lesson. Your ability to fund storage deals is not going to be limited by money. It will be limited by relationships. Because when people trust you, when they know that you're going to follow through and do what you say you're going to do, when they believe in your vision, capital starts to show up. I've always said that relationship capital is the most important capital you could ever focus on raising. And that's exactly why building your capital connections network is one of the most powerful things you can do in your storage business. But this lesson is just one small part of the full cash flow maps acquisition system. Inside the full system, you're going to get access to all the modules, the full training framework, and most importantly, the tools and the resources, the templates that I actually use in my storage business and inside the Storage Wins community that are not available here on YouTube. So if you want access to the entire system, you're literally a click away. Click in the link in the description and create your free Cash Flow Maps account. Everything is organized for you so that you can go through it step by step. I'll see you on the inside.